This is Advanced Higher Computing Software Development, Topic 2, which is User Interfaces. This is a picture of a teletypewriter, and this is one of the first user interfaces. These machines were connected to mainframes and were used to allow the users, individual users, to communicate. You can see that there's four teletypewriters in this picture. Now there are obviously problems with that. They're notoriously slow in connecting to the single mainframe, and also the commands were quite complex and very cryptic. And they gave way to command line interfaces, which here's an example of one just now. This is the command prompt in Windows, and what I'm doing is I'm using the program called GetIPlayer, and you can see I'm typing in commands with parameters, and I'm just trying to get a list of all the radio programs that are currently available through iPlayer. Now obviously there's advantages to this. If you know the commands, the experts can use the programs much faster than menu-driven programs or graphical user interfaces where you have to click on icons. Downside is the sort of level of training and the amount of commands that the user has to remember is quite complicated. But it is a speed improvement, although maybe not at this point, but there is a speed improvement in using the command line interface. And obviously the difference between the command line interface and the teletypewriter is that the teletypewriter only operated one command at a time, and you had to get a printout rather than a screen print of what had happened, whereas this gives you feedback instantly on the screen. And there's a big list of programs. There's a few advantages you have to remember about command line interfaces. They're very cheap to produce, obviously, because it's usually white text on a black background, and that means that they can be used with very cheap screens or very basic screens. Obviously, expert users can access information much more quickly, and very complex commands can be combined with other complex commands to create a very an even more commands can be combined with other commands to complete a complex sequence, a bit like a computer program that's run directly from the command prompt. Something you really couldn't do with a menu-driven or a command line or a graphical user interface. The clear downsides are obviously every command line language. For example, if you compare Windows to Linux, they have different commands and different parameters that go along with these commands. So it can be quite a complex process in learning the language, and obviously remembering the different commands and parameters and flags and things can be quite a daunting task. Obviously, this is not something that a novice should be doing. They would find that their abilities are limited by their lack of knowledge of the commands. And the final disadvantage, I suppose, is that it's quite easy to make mistakes when you're typing, and if the mistake doesn't affect the program, or it isn't recognised by the command line interface, then obviously nothing will go wrong. But if it's a mistype that actually runs something else, then obviously that could ruin a day's work or an entire program. And compare the command line interface to something like this, which is a PS3 menu, and obviously each of the icons along the top are groups, and these groups have options within those which can have further groups of options. And this is a very easy way of setting out functionality within your program. Of course, the downside is you need to know which menu the function you need is in. It's also quite limiting because it's very difficult to show all program functionality without having 4 or 5 layers of submenus. So sometimes with a menu-driven interface, the actual complex operations are reduced, and there's no way, for example, of combining changing chat settings at the same time as changing game settings, which is possibly something that you could do with the command line. Other advantages of these, apart from the fact that they're very easy to navigate and use once you understand the settings, is that you get an idea of context. So you know that you go into the settings menu, you can change the settings for most things or things that are accessible to you. If you go into the friend, the two square icons on the right hand side, it's to do with your community and your friends. You go into the play, the controller menu, then it's about the game and so on. And of course, with the command line you have to have access to a keyboard, but with a menu driven interface you can use game controllers, you can use mice, you can use touch screens, you can make use of a variety of input methods, whereas with the command line you're fixed to a keyboard. And of course you don't want to make the same mistakes, there's no typing mistakes to make. The only thing you could do wrong accidentally is select the wrong menu option, in which case you can usually go back without affecting anything within the computer system or the program itself.